count on. This is Fox 30 Action News at 7.
Deadly shootout. What police say this man did to his family, and then a local deputy.
Growing controversy, the new evidence against FSU's star quarterback, and the reason the accuser is criticizing police.
Plus, teacher secrets. Only we uncover who is fighting to keep local teacher rankings from parents. 23 minutes of nonstop news, weather, and traffic is just ahead.
Action News This Morning starts right now. All right, kind of wait for these clouds to get out here, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. Keep waiting. We are waiting for a dip in the temperatures as well, but that's not coming until Sunday. I've been paying attention to that. Much more to get to here on this Thursday morning, as we call it Friday Eve. Thanks for joining us here on this Thursday. I'm Mike Bars.
And I'm Lindsay Gardner. We're glad you're with us here this morning at 7. I don't know about you, but I am tired of the rain. I'm ready for the sunshine to make a comeback.
Yeah, somebody here in the station, at the station, is like, get rid of the gloom. I said I could if I would, but here's the thing. We do have brighter skies ahead, and it starts today. Today's transition day out of this pattern. It's day 3 of the local nor'easter event, which featured the wind, the rough surf, and, of course, the rainfall, with yesterday being the wettest of the 3 days. Still some showers this morning. We talked about a rainy start. It's not raining everywhere, just mostly cloudy here in Duval. It's certainly damp out there, as you saw on our First Alert Sky Cam at Jack's Beach. Some rain in spots. South of Lake City, there's some rain. South of Palatka, south of St. Augustine near Palm Coast, south of Gainesville. So everything kind of south. Moving to the north, just widely scattered showers today. We're starting in the 60s, so the mild stuff continues, although inland, Brunswick to Lake City and north and west, we're in the 50s. Okay, here's your hour-by-hour forecast. 62 to 67 at noon to 73 at 5 p.m. Warmer, some peaks of sunshine, and then, like I said, some brighter skies on the way in the coming days. We'll talk about that, break it down hour by hour in a bit. At 7:02, it's Derek Odom time with First Alert Traffic. Good morning.
Good morning, Tom. Good morning, everyone. From the Safe Touch Security First Alert Traffic Center, we see the traffic building up eastbound I-10 right here at Cassett. Slow going, giving that a yellow light. 9 minutes in total from 295 into downtown. Crash reported at 295 northbound on the Dames Point Bridge. Police are arriving on the scene right now. Initially, they're saying lanes are open, so we'll keep an eye on that, as well as a crash just north of Beach Boulevard on 295 northbound. Unknown about that road blockage as well, but of course, it's going to start to build up in that area. Coming in from the beaches from Ponte Vedra on JTB all the way in I-95, only 12 minutes. That is still a speed limit ride. Weather and traffic on the ones continues at 7:11. Right now, your news headlines with Lindsay and Mike.
All right, continue to follow this developing story out of Putnam County. A deadly deputy shootout. The suspect is dead. A deputy is awaiting surgery after he was shot in the arm.
And as we were the first to report here this morning, the injured officer is Aaron Thomas, a 15-year veteran in law enforcement and a senior deputy on this force. The shooting happened on Old San Mateo Road off of US 17. That is right on the San Mateo East Palatka line. Our Brian Baker is live on the scene speaking with investigators this morning. And Brian, what new information are you learning?
Well, Deputy Woods now, he is expected to be okay. We want to stress that. He's awaiting surgery, we are told, by deputies here on scene. You mentioned how extensive he has a history with law enforcement, but he actually was one of 3 deputies involved in this officer-involved shooting in this exchange of gunfire with 58-year-old Timothy Mahoney, who is now dead. I want to get right to Sergeant Hansel Woods. We know that the call came in as a shots fired disturbance, but because of some kind of altercation within the family, can you tell us about that?
Yes, that's my understanding. It was a family argument, a disturbance in progress, apparently over money. And we do believe that the subject's mother and brother were involved in the house. And so that was some type of altercation involving a family argument over money.
You all tried to negotiate with him, though, before the shooting happened.
Yes, absolutely. They did. The deputies on scene did try to reason with him, tried to talk him down. They tried to use less than lethal force. And then when he fired on Deputy Thomas and he was struck, then the Sergeant Atkinson and Deputy Bohannon did return fire to nullify the threat.
We were just learning more about his criminal history, some very interesting things. He is a convicted felon, 17 counts, you said, and he has some prior history of convictions with law enforcement officers?
Yes, sir. That's my understanding. He apparently has about a 10-page rap sheet, at least 17 felony convictions, several more felonies that were not convicted of for one reason or another, and that did include prior convictions of battery on law enforcement and battery on emergency services personnel.
What's it like for you all coming to a scene that you've been here several times? We also heard that over the last month, pretty repetitive calls. So your officers, deputies going to the scene, how do you approach that type of situation?
Well, we try to train so that you always take a tactical approach, because you never know what could happen or what might happen. This is a perfect example of that. Things could always potentially go bad. So, it's when you know that you've been there before, you know that someone is potentially violent or is potentially violent with law enforcement, you do tend to have a more heightened awareness. But taking a tactical approach, not walking directly up to the house, not going directly to the front door, we call it not walking into the fatal funnel. Right. So they would have taken a tactical approach to the house and taken precautions to protect themselves.
Sergeant Woods, thank you very much for being with us, of course. And deputies have been here for more than 7 hours. They will continue to be here. We are live from Putnam County. Brian Baker, Action News.
All right, Brian, the mother of a murdered little girl will fight to get her 2 remaining daughters back. 8-year-old Cherish Periwinkle, you may remember, was kidnapped and murdered back in June. A convicted sex predator is accused of her murder. Deanna Betnishi joins us live in the Action Cam. Deanna, it's been more than 100 days since Rain Periwinkle's other daughters were actually removed from her home.
And today could be the deciding factor if Periwinkle gets her 2 children back. She's going to have her hearing today right here at the Duval County Courthouse later on. They're 2 of the last people to see the face of Cherish Periwinkle, her 2 younger half-sisters. 6-year-old Destiny and 4-year-old Nevaeh watched Cherish disappear with a convicted sex offender.
For what they've been through, they're doing well.
They didn't just lose a sister. Within days of Cherish's death, the 2 girls were taken away from their mother and put into protective custody. More than 100 days later, the children's attorney, Patricia Parker, says the girls are doing well in both school and with their foster family.
They just really want to be little kids. They want to do the same things that other little kids do. I mean, they love to play with dolls. They love to play dress up. Those are the things that I see.
By phone, their grandfather tells Action News he wants the girls back with the family. Several family members are willing.
It hurts me to know that they're somewhere with strangers.
But only a judge can now decide what's in the girls' best interest. Reporting live in Duval County, Deanna Betnishi, Action News.
All right, Deanna, and of course, Rain Periwinkle will be expected at that hearing later on today.
7:07 this morning, and a break in the case in the search for the hit-and-run driver who killed 15-year-old Haley Smith. Investigators just released pictures of the truck's passenger side mirror. They believe the truck is a small gold pickup. Police found this mirror at the crash site in St. Augustine on Kitten Morrison Road. We've also learned this is an aftermarket mirror and can fit several different types of small trucks and SUVs. Haley was hit and killed Saturday night. She was walking home with her friends when the driver slammed into them. Family and friends gathered to say their final goodbyes on Wednesday. After Haley was buried, they returned to the crash site for a final prayer.
Now Haley's our little angel looking down on us and saying it's okay now.
Smith's family hopes the new photos will help police find the driver that hit Haley and left her to die. Police say the small pickup will likely have some damage to the passenger side headlight area. It would also be missing or have a recently replaced passenger side mirror. If you know anything, call Crime Stoppers.
A St. Augustine High School student faces charges after bringing a gun to school. Deputies arrested the student on Wednesday after another student reported that gun. Deputies say they found the gun in a student's bag, but they said there were no reports of any threats.
Only on Action News, secret teacher. We are talking about teacher rankings and the fight to keep them from local parents. A recent court ruling said the state had to release teachers' scores from the new value-added model, also known as the VAM system. The state did not want to release them. The new system ranks teachers based on how their students progress from year to year. The ranking is only 50% of the teacher's total grade. The other percentage comes from classroom evaluations. The state's education commissioner, Pam Stewart, tells Action News it's only part of the big picture, but parents believe they deserve to know how their child's teacher ranks.
I think it's crucially important to know where the good teachers are.
I think it is important that the entire picture of the teacher is taken into consideration rather than just a number.
The state can appeal the recent court ruling to release teacher grades, and we checked, and so far the state has not made a final decision.
7:09 right now. The conditions at the Nassau County Sheriff's Office are putting deputies' health at risk. The entire structure is falling apart for the past 15 years, and now there's mold in the air in the ducts as well. Now, Action News obtained the air quality test results, and they show more than 70,000 spores of mold were discovered. The building had to be evacuated. A thorough cleaning cost the county more than $7,000, and it still didn't do the trick. A second inspection showed even more mold issues, and it could be a week or two before they can actually move back in.
One Spark is gearing up for yet another big event. The organization just filed for a special events permit, and we were able to get a look at it. For 5 days next April, creatives and inventors from all over the world will flock to downtown Jacksonville. They're going to showcase their best ideas for a chance to get a $300,000 crowdfunding prize jackpot. More than 130,000 people all attended the inaugural event earlier this year.
Now your weather and traffic on the ones.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not sure Lindsay got the weather word of the day. Linz, do you know?
Rain, clouds?
It's damp. Very good, Mike. I know. Lindsay starts basically at 7 after a 4:30 shift. Damp is the weather word of the day. We'll take it to the airport at JIA. You could have some of that mist out there, but significant rain's not happening in Jacksonville as of right now. It's just damp. Okay, so damp through next hour as well. 62, 74 for the high. A few showers around, but definitely less than yesterday, and warmer too with a high of 74. The wind is going down, temperatures are going up, warming trend in the weekend, into the weekend, and what you need to know coming up. Derek, take it. First alert traffic.
Right now, 95 and Butler Boulevard, a buildup beginning there, so we're going to give it a yellow light, but we got a bit of breaking traffic news down in St. Johns County where there's a crash involving a tractor trailer and another car, 95 northbound, mile marker 325, just north of International Golf Parkway. They're saying one person is having to be extracted from a vehicle, and as you can see, it is causing a big backup in that area. You can make your way over the US 1 from 16 or from International Golf Parkway up to 210 to get around that big backup. We'll try to get some more details on that crash for you. That's the very latest from the Safe Touch Security First Alert Traffic Center. Mike?
All right, Derek, new information this morning about these sexual assault allegations against Florida State quarterback Jameis Winston. The woman behind the allegation says the Tallahassee police warned her not to press charges. Now, the Tampa Bay Times is reporting that that warning came from a police detective to the woman's attorney. Allegedly, the officer said Tallahassee is, quote, a big football town and that the woman's life will be made miserable if she pursued a case. Now, we've been telling you about this incident since it surfaced last week. The woman says it allegedly happened nearly a year ago, last December. Police say the investigation was put on hold because the accuser was hesitant to press charges. The woman's family and her attorney say that's simply a lie. A new report says DNA found on the woman's underwear from that night matches Winston's. Winston, a Heisman Trophy frontrunner, has not been arrested or charged with any crime at this time, and his attorney denies any wrongdoing.
Baseball all-star Alex Rodriguez stormed out of an arbitration hearing on Wednesday. A-Rod is in the process of appealing a historic 211-game ban for his alleged use of performance-enhancing drugs. According to a source, A-Rod became frustrated after the arbitrator decided the commissioner of Major League Baseball would not have to testify during this hearing. Rodriguez then appeared on a New York City radio show later in the day to explain his side.
Were you guilty of any of these charges?
No, and I should have.
Did you do anything wrong?
No.
Did you do any PEDs?
No.
He later released a statement saying, quote, the absurdity and injustice just became too much to take. I will not participate any further in the farce.
It could be weeks before the family of Rebecca Green will know if her death was a suicide or just a strange accident. Still a lot of confusion behind this. 22-year-old Green, her body was found in a creek in Athens on Tuesday. Police are waiting on the official autopsy of the UGA student, but they say preliminary reports show there's no foul play in the girl's death. Now her family and friends are coming to terms with this tragedy.
Rebecca always had a smile on her face. She was a very good student, a model student.
Green was reported missing when she did not come home on Monday night.
Two Central Florida girls accused of bullying their classmate who later committed suicide will no longer face charges for their involvement. That's according to the teen's lawyers. Last month, the Polk County Sheriff's Office arrested both girls after 12-year-old Rebecca Sedgwick jumped to her death. The case made national news. The girls were facing third-degree felony aggravated stalking charges. We're still working to find out why these charges were dismissed. It's 7:14, and we continue to follow a breaking situation out of Putnam County this morning where a suspect is dead and a deputy will have to go into surgery later today after a shootout and standoff with police overnight. This happened at the suspect's home on Old San Mateo Road just off US 17. That is right on the San Mateo East Palatka line. Deputies say Timothy Mahoney shot Deputy Aaron Thomas in the arm. Deputies then returned fire. We've now learned there were 3 on the scene. Mahoney, a convicted felon with a 10-page rap sheet, died on the way to the hospital this morning. Stay with Action News for the latest on this story.
New this morning in a letter to Afghan's President Barack Obama says the U.S. will respect Afghan sovereignty. He says American troops will not conduct raids on Afghan homes except under extraordinary circumstances. The two countries are currently working out a deal that would keep some of our troops in Afghanistan once the NATO combat mission is officially over. Secretary of State John Kerry says the deal will allow American forces to train and assist Afghan troops. The deal has to be approved by the Afghan parliament and a special council of elders. 7:15 right now. Crime and punishment. A Jacksonville daycare owner will go to jail for the death of a 2-year-old boy in her care. Don Lopez has new details on the strange sentence and our exclusive interview with the boy's parents who support it.
Well, Mike, we've never seen anything like this. The local woman was keeping the toddler will go in and out of jail at the Duval County Jail 20 times over the course of her sentence. And the days that she'll report to jail are heartbreaking reminders.
When Jan Marie Buchanan was arrested in May, she faced 30 years behind bars. 2-year-old Stephen Spurlock drowned in her pool where she was operating an unlicensed daycare.
We don't blame her.
But the boy's parents, who are speaking for the first time only with Action News, tell us they never wanted Buchanan to serve jail time at all.
We understand how accidents can happen.
I did not feel that Miss Buchanan was a threat to society.
So Assistant State Attorney Alan Mizrahi came up with a unique idea to bring closure to this family and save taxpayer money.
It came to me that perhaps she should remember the life that was lost annually.
He proposed this. Buchanan will serve 2 specific days behind bars each year, December 9th, the boy's birthday, and May 24th, the day he died. She'll also donate $2,000 a year to a local charity that promotes child safety, all for the next 10 years.
My client felt like it was more than fair.
Whitney Lonker says Buchanan accepted the deal to protect the Spurlock family from a lengthy trial.
It really promoted a form of punishment in a terrible tragedy without ruining everyone's lives.
And now the Spurlocks say that they can finally move on, still with a lot to live for.
There's no punishment that's going to give us our child back.
The Spurlocks are still friends, by the way, with Jan Buchanan and knew that she was operating a daycare with no license. They say that because she was a nurse and their son had medical needs, they thought that she was equipped to care for their son. They also say that they would trust her with their 5-month-old daughter. Mike and Lynn's.
All right, Dawn, Jacksonville's Downtown Investment Authority just approved new plans for the historic shipyards.
And the Jaguars say they are committed to step up if no one else does. We've been covering this potential development of the shipyards for years. Now a campaign to bring a retired Navy destroyer, the USS Adams, to the property is really gaining some traction. The Adams to Jax campaign released this exclusive rendering of the plan of the historic warship to us. JAG's owner, Shad Khan, says the shipyards are the front door to the sports complex.
If the Jaguars and Mr. Khan get involved in the North Bank, as they said they might, they've obviously said that our concept is something that would fit into their plans.
There is the photo there of the boat wrapped in the JAGS logo, and according to campaign officials, the ship would draw more than 150,000 people every year to the North Bank.
Putting rumors to rest and putting veterans' mind at ease, Mayor Brown says some of Jacksonville's most notable buildings will not be changing their names. Matt Augustine from our news partner WOKV joins us from Veterans Memorial Arena. And Matt, the mayor says his office never intended to change the name of the building or others.
Yeah, and it's good news for some veterans here in the city who we had heard from, I know you guys had heard from as well, had been very upset about the fact that there was some consideration of selling the naming rights not only to the Veterans Memorial Arena, but also to the baseball grounds here. Mayor Brown came and talked a little bit yesterday, and he said that there's no way he's going to be changing the name and taking the veterans out of the Veterans Memorial Arena. It was an idea that had been brought up in recent city council meeting as a way to bring in new money for the city, an alternative revenue source. But veterans started emailing in and saying they didn't want the city to sell out just for a few bucks. Now, we did a little bit of digging and found out that even if the mayor wanted to change the name of the Veterans Memorial Arena, he wouldn't be able to, just because it's against city ordinance. And when we asked if he would consider adding any corporate sponsorships onto either of these grounds, especially the Jacksonville, the Veterans Memorial Arena, he said he really wasn't ready to consider anything like that at this point. I'm live in downtown Jacksonville this morning. Matt Augustine, Fox 30, Action News.
And the mayor says the name on the outside would simply not change.
But the city may look at selling naming rights for the suites inside the arena.
Now, your first alert forecast. Jacksonville's most accurate.
Again, it is damp outside your door. Now, looking forward, a warming trend is kicking in starting today, continuing into the weekend. we're also looking at an overall drying trend. Yesterday was the wet Wednesday that we gave you the first alert on earlier in the week. Now that that's over, looking forward, some drier skies in store. But in the short term, still, again, damp out there with some rain showers in spots. You can see some in southern Columbia County south of Lake